Holy One who inhabits this place and our hearts, open our hearts to your love. Amen. You may be seated. Well, earlier today, I posted tonight's Interfaith Thanksgiving service on social media as a reminder for people to attend. And I was tempted to entice people by calling to mind all of the blessings they enjoy. Guilt works in all of our congregations. Think about the good earth from which our food comes, its beauty and wonder, its seasons and harvests, all creatures of our God and King. Think about its water that gives us fishing, sailing, calamari, and shrimp. Life itself. And about the fresh air, the birds and the bats, dirigibles and drones. Fills our lungs as we breathe 20,000 times each day without ever thinking twice. Then I thought about the blessings of our ancestors, all who came before us, their stories, their struggles, their good reputations that precede us, and their wisdom and prayers that pursue us. Then I thought about our families and our friends who enliven our days. They give us the substance of the great joys that we all share. They give us hope and laughter and continuous encouragement that helps us cope and achieve. Then I pondered our homes, whether humble or grand, those familiar rooms with pillows and bedspreads and skillets and microwaves and big screens and liquor cabinets, where we form our most sacred memories, where we are warm and fed and safe and loved. But then as I was ready to hit that big blue button that said post, I said, blessings. Scratch that. And instead I asked people to think of all the terrible things that have happened this year. Think about your very worst moments, your sorrows, your losses, your sadness, your embarrassment, your disgrace. How has your patience been tried? How has your fuse been lit, our hopes dashed, our fears heightened, our anxieties inflamed? How have we let God, others, ourselves down, so far down, that we can't do a thing about it? And now I ask, can we please remember? Can we please remember that we're here? That somehow, some way, we got through the worst day of the year, perhaps the worst day of our lives. As the ancient Israelites in Deuteronomy invited us, can we forget now that somehow, some way, we have survived? We have come through it, albeit bruised and battered, weary and limping, perhaps forever scarred, perhaps forever changed, but we, my friends, are here. We've made it through the trauma, the trial, the temptation. We've made it out of the dark and miry clay. This we remember. And now we remember who got us through it. I got me into this mess most of the time, but it was the Lord that got me out. It was my bright ideas, my best coping logic, my shortcomings, my shortcuts that made the bed. But it was the Lord who kept me from sleeping in it. Job number one around your Thanksgiving table, my friends, this year: remember to remember. Not just the blessings, but the deliverance. And remember that the same God that got you out of that jam this year will get you out of that jam next year. That's just who God is. Yes, we will face challenges, maybe to our health, our finances, our relationships. They will come. But remember to remember that this same God who got us to today will get us to tomorrow. Job number one around your Thanksgiving table: remember to remember. I know of an old pastor who cherished a tattered and torn church bulletin. It was from November of 1936. 90 years old, and he kept it around because it had a typo in it. It had listed the upcoming service for the fourth Thursday in November, not as Thanksgiving, but as Thanks-living. Thanks-living. Kind of piques your interest a little bit, doesn't it? Thanks-living. It's refusing to take the left road of the glass half empty, negativity, ungratefulness, and entitlement. Oh, things will never work out for me. When we look at a catalog, we notice all the things we don't have. Never stop and look at the things we have. when I'm in touch with that part of me and somebody points it out. Boy, why are you such a negative Nelson? That's what we call it in my house, being negative Nelson. That's when I look down my long snoot and I correct them. Young sir, I am not a negative Nelson. I am a realistic Reggie. You ever use that as your defense? I'm not negative, I'm just being realistic. But my conception of thanks living is to bypass that left road and take the more difficult right road of abundance and gratitude and appreciation. It's always the tougher road. To abundance and gratitude and appreciation. That is the road of your spirit and of my spirit. And look who I get to enjoy it with. All these congregations that COVID couldn't kill. I know they bruised the Baptists. They pummeled the Presbyterians. They undercut the Unitarians. They jilted the Jews. They clipped the Catholics. And they eclipsed the Episcopalians. But friends, we're still standing. God is still standing. The Spirit is still moving all over this land. And while there's a lot of talk about congregations closing, people being uninterested in religion, they are interested in spirituality. And I like to say I'm spiritual and not religious as well. Because that's who's going to be left standing. The communities of faith that embody the true spirit of the Holy One, the spirit of love. Yes, that's what's keeping us moving and will keep us moving. It's when we take the latter part of that second reading that Raphael read for us. Did you notice our Philippians reading? It's about the best advice we find in that big book. Let each of you look not at your own interests, but at the interests of others. What would this world look like if we looked out for the interests of others before we looked for our own? I see that around here. In spades. In our selfish, self-isolating, inward world and inward turned and outwardly blind world, it's you good people of the Spirit who show us another way, a better way, the only way, really to live life, and that's to do our very best to put other people first. This is why the right road is the difficult road. Those of you who have children are probably used to that lunchtime symphony you heard when they were young in the car. You asked for a restaurant, and one would say McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Well, why don't we do what the good book says and go to where your brother and sister want to go? And that, my friends, is how you start World War III. That's also how you avoid World War III. Listening to others, compromising, negotiating, working it out together. We'll go to Wendy's tomorrow. Today we're going to McDonald's. We'll go to Burger King in 3 days. Not putting the other person down, not telling them how bad the burger is at their place, or how your decision will poison us all. Around your Thanksgiving table, remember to put other people first. Remember to show your thanks. Remember to show your appreciation. It's not hard around here. You know what a joy it is to work with our music director and our choir? Do you know how terrific it is to be able to call them such gracious, intelligent, and loving colleagues as Aaron, Anders, Clarence, now Raphael, Jeff, and yes, that was alphabetical order, as not to communicate preference. But my preference is that every community would have such an outstanding clergy group as we have. Can you give them a hand for the hard work they do in our community? This is your raise, you guys. And that's not even to mention all of you, as if you didn't all have enough to do around the holidays in your own congregations, in your own lives, to make time in our splintered, fractured, distracted, and divided world to seek unity among good people of faith. Thank you for coming out to establish and enhance important relationships. It means so much to me for you to be here tonight. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to gather in a spirit of unity and love and gratitude to be in this place. We want you to stick around. We want you to linger. My wife made brownies. There are cookies, there are snacks, there are veggies from our homes, and we don't want to bring them back. But we are hoping that you will join us in that atrium following the service to meet somebody new, to catch up with somebody maybe you haven't seen in a while. And so from this place, as you go about your holiday planning, you're celebrating, you're commemorating, remember to remember. Remember to remember not just the blessing, but the deliverance. And remember to celebrate not just Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving, by trying your best to put the other person first. And may you go from this place knowing that you are loved, knowing that you are not alone, knowing that the same God who brought you through today will take you through tomorrow. Amen.